Good to see all of you. You're looking well this morning. Look like Lord done blessed you. Yeah, I like that, so you ain't got no excuse this morning but to say thank you. Thank you. I tell you, today, I am excited about this word for you this morning, and I need for you to get your pen, your paper, and get ready because God is going to shift you today. You don't have a choice today. You're going to get shifted. Okay? And when God shifts you, God is getting you, he's preparing you for what is coming or where you is going, one of the two. You choose because God is ready to make a move. I promise you, if you trust God and believe in his son, Jesus Christ, and accept the teaching that God gives you, you will not walk into 2023 the same way you were in 2022. There's going to be a shift because God is in the shifting business, and right now he feels like shifting someone. And he told me to tell y'all this morning that when he is positioning you, he's preparing you. You need to get that in your face. You need to get that in your mind and in your working state, that when God is positioning you, he is preparing you. And God does not prepare you for nothing. God does not prepare you to do nothing. God is preparing you because an assignment has been made with your name on it, and the shift and the assignment requires a shifting. Oh, I wish I had somebody to understand where I'm trying to go this morning. There's going to be a shift, and the shift starts. Watch this, watch this. You got to write this one down. At Harvest of Hope Christian Center. Oh, Lord, I didn't get the excitement I was looking for. Because God looked down into his garden of people, his garden of places, his garden of things, and found Harvest of Hope Christian and said, I'm going to start there. Not down the street, not up the street, not across town, not in the field. I'm going to start there. So it would behoove you, wheresoever you may be, to find your way here to get in the shifting. Huh? You heard the scripture read from the book of Genesis when God shifted Abraham from the land of which he lived among his father, his kindred, to a place that he didn't even know. God said, I'll show you. I need you to go to Kosciuszko. I need you to go to Durant. I need you to go to Clinton. And he didn't say that. He said, I'll show you where you're going after you get there. Somebody got to have some deep faith to get up and go somewhere having no idea which way. He didn't even tell him which way to go. He just said, I'll show you. It's a horrible feeling to be unprepared when you're about to take a shift in life. Yes, it is. And that shift requires you to do something you've not done before, in a place you've not been before, and oftentimes with people you've not met before. All of your comfortability has been moved. I hope you're hearing what I'm saying. You see, it's easy to get comfortable in your own bathroom doing where everything is. That's deep right there. But when you got to travel someplace, you're pretty particular about where you go. Y'all don't look at me like I'm the only one like that. But when that happens and God puts you in that place of comfortability, you function better than you do anywhere else. Whether that be on the spiritual aspect or whether it's worldly, either way you go, it requires you to be shifted in order to make yourself presentable to God for the task that he's assigned to your hand. I'm trying to get somebody ready this morning. When you start shifting or being shifted by God, doubt comes into your mind in such a way that you begin to question not only God, but yourself. I need for your confidence level to take a boost on the upswing. Because at this point, we're not taking any calls. I don't know who's trying to reach me at 11 o'clock on Sunday morning. Everybody know me, know where I am. I don't know why you calling me. When doubt starts to shift into your mind as to what is taking place, it not only impacts your faith in God, but it impacts your faith in yourself. You've looked in the mirror and convinced yourself who you think you are, but then God shifts you to a place when you look in the mirror now, what you see don't look like what you think. And it's okay when that happens because God says in Isaiah 43:19, behold, I do a new thing. God doesn't do a new thing with old folk. Preach to somebody. Got to see. That's what happens. That's what happens when you come to church here. You know scripture when you see it. And you know how to find it when you want it. If the devil attack you, you ain't got to call nobody and say, well, you pray for him. What you call him and say, the Bible said. And the devil don't want you if you ain't no threat to him. Lord have mercy. So when you start doubting yourself, when you start doubting God, when you start doubting the process God is putting you through, you will ask yourself silly questions. Am I able to do this? Whew. God, you sure you want me? Huh? Gideon said, I'm a nobody. Gideon chapter 6, verse 32, he said, I'm a nobody. My family is a bunch of nobodies. You sure you want me? And God said, yes. Inexperience does not disqualify you for what God is preparing you to do. As a matter of fact, you need to be inexperienced. Because all you super saved people with titles behind your name, God can't use you. You've already determined what you are. Because when God calls you, he equips you. And he needs somebody who don't think they're already there. He needs somebody that he can lead, guide, and put in a position to be blessed. If God calls you and shifts you and repositions you, he's getting ready to retool you. Oh, Lord have mercy. I'm going slow today. When God brings you into this place that he needs you to be in, I want you to watch what he equipped Abraham with when he said, get thee out from among thy country, from thy father's house, into a place where I'm going to show you. He had to equip Abraham to be ready to take this stand. He didn't give Abraham a hammer, nails, a road map, and a saw. All he gave Abraham was said, faith. If you believe, God knows I got you covered. We're going to come back to that. Hold that thought. Y'all need to write that one down. We're coming back to that one. And when you understand this, now trust me when I tell you this, if and when God calls you, it is not a mistake. God don't make mistakes. God don't do do-overs. When God makes a decision, it's done, permanent, and he knows exactly what he's doing. And he has prepared you and equipped you to deal with oh my God, what are you talking about? With every situation that the devil's going to throw in your path, he's already got it in you how to deal with it. Your job is to look unto the hills from which cometh your help and ask him, what does the Lord require of me? And you got to understand this. When God is positioning you, you know what you need? We need to move here because she keep peeping around your head trying to see. Or she need to move, one or the other. When God is repositioning you and he is shifting you, you will not always understand the purpose he's trying to work out. And don't be mad with yourself if you're confused and you don't get it. I'm trying to go there, I'm trying to do this, but I just don't understand. That's exactly where you're supposed to be. Yes, yes. Because you're trying to figure out the moves of God. God ain't shared with you what the move look like yet. You need to just walk by faith and not by sight. Leave the rest of it up to God and don't worry about where you're going. Just put your foot in the water. Test the water. I'm going to show you 3 people that I know God used to reposition them to be what he wanted them to be and show them his purpose by preparation. Identifying what do some of those ways look like when God says, I'm going to show you where you're going. So the question I have for you today, for each one of you, do you have a sense that God is now shifting you based upon the circumstances you in right now.
Yes, Lord. Yes.
Think about it. Is God preparing you for something great by putting you in the place you're in right now? Somebody's gonna be shifted before we leave here today.
Come on now.
I told them bring my shovel with me today because I'm going to have to dig somebody up and out of here. Let's look at some people God used as he shifted them into a position so that he could use them. Let's start with Joshua. Everybody know Joshua, right? If you got Joshua 27, pull up Numbers chapter 27, verse 15. 15. Okay? All right, start with 15. Numbers 27, 15. Okay, I'm waiting, man. Come on, wait. We're going to get this before we leave here today. Somebody going to thank me before you walk out of here today. Somebody going to say, Pastor, I got it, and I'm going. All right now. And Moses said to the Lord, watch that. Ooh, Lord have mercy. May the Lord, the God who gives breath to all living things, appoint someone over this community. So God got to find somebody. And he got to position them to be over this community. To go out. Now, why is he positioning? Why is Moses wanting him to position somebody to do that? So he can go out and come in before them, one who would lead them out and bring them in. So the Lord's people, watch this, boy, you better get this, will not be like sheep without a shepherd. So the Lord said to Moses, take James Allen of North Carolina. Shift them. No, he didn't. But that's what he told me, but he didn't put it in the book. And the Lord said to Moses, take Joshua, son of Nun, a man in whom is the spirit of what? Leadership. And do what? Lay your hand on him. Y'all better tell all these so-called people out there being called into them, they need to go somewhere and get some hands on them. In the church. And 19. And have him stand before Eleazar the priest and the entire assembly and commission him in their presence. Why are you going to do that? And give him some of your authority so the whole Israelite community will obey him. And he is to stand before Eleazar the priest who will obtain decisions for him by inquiring of the Urim before the Lord. The Urim is the piece of equipment worn on the high priest's breast, the Urim and the Thummim, who, when they needed advice and counsel from God, the high priest would go to that and consult in that, and God would speak to him through that. That's a Bible study. And at his command, he and the entire community of the Israelites will go out, and at his command, they will come in. Yes. God putting somebody in charge. Moses did as the Lord commanded him. He took Joshua and had him stand before Eleazar the priest and the whole assembly. Then he laid his hands upon him and commissioned him. So the Lord instructed through Moses. Point one. When God repositions you, he chooses you, and he chooses where to position you. You don't get to go wherever you want to go if God chooses you. You don't get to bounce from church to church and decide I'm going to find a place that I like where I fit. You go where God plants you. And when God does this, watch this, it is now our responsibility, your only responsibility. The only thing you got to do is be obedient to the leader God put over you. And then be faithful to God in that position. I'm going to say that one again. The only job you got when God repositions you for greatness and as he prepares you is to be faithful to whomever God puts you under. That one person. He didn't put you under 5 different people. He didn't put you under 6 different churches. He put you under one. And when people come in here and say, I listened to Jamal Brown on the radio and Tony Evans and T.D. Jakes and all of them, that's good. But they don't substitute for the man God put over you. That's your first place of authority. And I'm tired of people coming in here telling me what everybody on the television has said to them. You need to join that church. Now, y'all say I'm being cruel. You say I'm being mean. Let me tell you something. You can't have 2 masters. That's what the book says. But you're going to love one and hate the other. You need to choose you this day where you going to serve. See, that's the problem with being repositioned by God. We don't might always go where he wants us, but when God says to Moses, watch this, you need to get this, and if you don't get nothing else. He said, see, that's from the King James version, the NIV. When you look at the King James version in verse 20, he said, and put some of the honor on him that I put on you. In other words, that spirit I gave you to come up this mountain and talk to me, to lead these people and tell this rock, give me some water, and call birds and bread out the sky. I'm going to give him some of that to him. But he'll never have as much as you got to do what I called you to do, because he ain't you. I know y'all don't want to hear this, but I'm trying to get you that place so in 2023 fall, the blessings of the Lord are going to fall upon you so hard you ain't going to have room enough to receive them. You better start making space right now. All them old shoes, throw them out. All that old bread, let it go. All them old clothes, let them go. I know you're buying clothes with hole in it now. You need to throw them out too, because God's going to give you something so good you won't know what to do with it. You have to understand Joshua, like the rest of these guys, had to learn to be faithful in the number 2 position. No matter what you think God has called you to do, stay right there until God moves and elevates you to another position. You may not like the job you got now, but if that's the one God gave you, you work that sucker like you the man in charge, till sooner or later, you going to be the person in charge. And if that ain't good enough, you're going to have a store out there with your name on it that says Lady D's Cleaning Service. Not Married Health. Lady D's. You're going to get up and walk just like you were born with 3 legs and you can't stop moving. When God puts you with... want me to prove it to... I'm going to prove it to you. Watch this. Turn to Joshua chapter 1, verses 1, 2, and 3. God told him to choose Moses and choose Joshua. God then repositions Joshua from being one of the leaders out there in the war to being Moses' understudy so he could learn from Moses. And when his time came to be elevated, God knew exactly where to find him because he placed him under Moses and he stayed there. He didn't have to hunt for him. He didn't have to, which church is he at today? He knew exactly where he left him. And then he goes to Joshua and said, now after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spoke unto Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses is minister. Took his job serious, didn't he? And watch this. Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore, go, arise. First thing he did was to the place he's supposed to be. Arise. Go ahead and be up. And go over this Jordan. Who? You and all these people. Because guess what? Moses ain't leading them no more. You in charge now. So don't come to me telling me about what the pastor before me did. Don't tell me what the supervisor before me did. Don't tell me about what nobody else did. God said, you in charge now. And take them to a land. Watch that. What did he tell Abraham? To a place I'll show you. He told Joshua, unto the land which I do give. I ain't going to show you. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you because I promised that to Abraham, and Moses got you here, Lord. Ooh, I like that. Y'all ain't feeling it. Ooh, wait. And every place that the sole of your foot shall tread, that, watch this, I promise, I hope, I may, you just might, none of them. Everywhere that the sole of your foot shall tread, that have I. Is that past tense? Is that yesterday? That means the land was there before you got there, but it was yours before you even seen it. They built that house for somebody else. They didn't know they were building your house. They created that job over there at Nissan. They didn't know that job was yours. They told Amazon, I want you to go to Canton and build a plant because I got some folk down there that already got jobs, so I'm waiting on. Everywhere the sole of your foot shall tread, I've already given it to you. And my word is my rep. Go back to verse 3. My word is my rep. I gave it to you as I said unto Moses. If I told Moses, it's the same applies to you. If I tell pastor I'm going to take you to another place, you in that same building, I'm talking to you. If I tell the pastor I'm going to give you wealth over and above anything you could have hoped for, I'm talking to you. If I tell the pastor you ain't never got to worry about nothing else, I got you whithersoever the foot of you shall travel, he talking to you too. Jeez. I'm about to shout up in here today. This stuff getting good. Woo-wee! No wonder you got me up at 4 o'clock this morning. This stuff was rolling off my lips then. I wasn't even ready for it. The reward to Joshua for being faithful under Moses was that in this number 2 position, I'm not going to elevate you to number 1. And when I elevate you, here's your gift. I blessed you to lead the people. That's their gift. Your gift is, I will be with you everywhere you go. If you scroll down to verse 8, I'm going to show you something right quick. That ain't in the notes. It just hit me. Go down, just chapter 1, verse 8. Just go down to verse 8. That's all. Just go on down to verse 8. That's what you got to do. Watch this. Your reward for being faithful in the position God puts you is coming up. Come on. All right. See, I threw that other shit that wasn't in the notes. And so don't get mad with that. Watch this. Because I got it. Y'all got the Bibles too, don't you? Y'all got it. She working it back there. Here we go. 8. Joshua chapter 1, verse 8. All right. This book, what book? What book? What that book look like? Somebody tell me the name. What's the name of the book? The Bible. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. God never promised you success. He said it's a byproduct of you studying faithful and being faithful to me and reading my word. Then you're going to have success. Verse 9, watch this. This is the one. Have I not commanded thee? Be strong and of good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed. For the Lord thy God is with thee, whithersoever thou goest. I don't need nothing else. I don't need nothing else. God's going to walk with me wherever I go. Y'all can come at me if you want to. God will put a hedge around me to protect me night and day, and then he'll put some stuff on you that Clorox can't get off. But that's what God said. I didn't say that. And then in verse 10, then Joshua commanded the officers of the people, saying, that's for enough. Joshua said, because God told him what to say. God said, Joshua said, because God gave him the authority to say it. And the people, if you read this book, they didn't question Joshua because God put him in a position in their face. They knew it was God who called them. Then they had to step back and watch God do what God does. Being faithful in that number 2 position elevates you to number 1. He ain't the only one. There are others. Look at David. Everybody loves David. Yeah, man. And everybody talks. When you start talking about David, 90% of the people are going to talk about David and Bathsheba. The one thing he did bad, that's what they focus on. All the other good things David did, you got to dig them up and talk about it. Tell me what you know about David. Boy, David was the one cheated with that woman and then had her husband killed. 90% of the people are going to tell you that when you ask them about David. Let me tell you another part of David. Turn to 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 11. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Are here all thy children? Let me tell you what happened. God told Samuel to go to Israel, go to Jesse's house, and anoint the next king. So Jesse called all of his sons, except David, to come sit down with him in front of the prophet, like Samuel, but left David in the field. David wasn't worthy. See, y'all see something God don't see. Watch this. And he said, There remaineth yet the youngest, and behold, he keepeth the sheep. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Send and fetch him, for we will not sit down till he come hither. Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. There again, God elevating somebody in front of everybody else. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. But the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul. No, I'm going to stop right there. That's another story. Samuel goes to Jesse's house to anoint the next king. Jesse pulled all his sons out except David because they were big, strong, tall, and supposedly good looking. I don't know. I never saw him. But that's who he brought out for Samuel to anoint. Samuel looked at all of them and said, He ain't in this bunch. Are there any left? He knew Jesse had another son. When God is looking for somebody to elevate and reposition, where will he find them? Not sitting in the living room watching TV, not outside talking about somebody else. He's going to look for somebody out there in the field working. That's already busy about his father's business. God is looking for somebody who don't mind working. God don't want all you lazy folk that's laying around. God ain't never called nobody on the sofa with a remote control in their hand. Tell that to your friends. None. God has looked for the people that is working. So God, and he told Samuel to anoint David. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon David. When the Spirit of the Lord came on David, the Spirit God had on Saul the king left him. Because God will take from the unrighteous and give to the righteous. Lord have mercy. But then again, he anointed him, and sometimes when God repositions you, he may put you in a position that you don't think is fair, is right, comfortable, befitting for someone like yourself. So look what he did with David. Go to verse 19. Same chapter. So when the Spirit of the Lord came upon David, watch this, listen to me. When the Spirit of the Lord came on David, the Spirit the Lord put on Saul left. It wasn't the Spirit of the Lord. David got the Spirit of the Lord. Saul had his spirit God put on him. Y'all ain't seeing the difference. See, a lot of folk in church think they saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Ghost because they brought some spirit with them. But the rest of y'all in here with the Spirit of the Lord in you, they can't touch you. They ain't in your ballpark. So, in verse 19, wherefore Saul sent messengers unto Jesse and said, Send me David thy son, which is, what are you doing? With the sheep. And Jesse took an ass laden with bread and a bottle of wine and a kid and sent them by David his son unto Saul. And David came to Saul and stood before him, and he loved him greatly, and he became his. Y'all know what an armor bearer is? A waiter, a valet. Betcha, get me one of them, bring me one of those. Go sit down over there, get up and come over here. Saul was talking to the king. Because Samuel in verse 16 had anointed David to be the king. David knows he's the king, but he's serving underneath somebody that ain't got the jewels. But did David get mad and say, who are you talking to? Go where? Yeah, the king wants you to come over there and he wants you to serve him. You done lost your ever-loving mind. That's putting it politely. But David went to Saul, and he served Saul as his armor bearer. And because David could play the harp so good, every time the evil spirit would come up on Saul, David would play the harp and the spirit would leave. He is serving somebody that he is supposed to replace. He's already got the man and already, look, I'm going to promote you to the supervisor, but it ain't going to take place the week after next. So you go into your job. You say, did you quit work? Huh? What report you talking about? But David did his job faithfully in the number 2 position until it was his time. How many of you understand God is repositioning you now, and he may put you somewhere that you don't think you're supposed to be, but you got to learn how to do this. God is teaching you how to be humble beneath his awesome hand so that in due season he can exalt you to the place he wants you to be, because he understands I can trust Antonio now. Even when he was down there digging ditches, he knew he was supposed to be the crew leader over the ditch diggers, but he got in the ditch and kept digging. Now I can make him the leader. Look what God does when we do what God tells us to do. What was David's reward for serving a man he knew he was supposed to replace? Turn to 2 Samuel chapter 7 and verse 14. God is talking to Samuel about David, the same David he anointed. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. And if he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men and with the stripes of the children of men. The 39 stripes that every man gets for committing a sin. But my mercy shall not depart away from him. While y'all threw him to the dogs for sleeping with that woman, for having her husband killed, wrong in everybody's sight, God said, I will chasten him, not you. I'll take care of him. But my mercy will never depart from him. As I took, watch this, as I took it from Saul, whom I put away before thee. You saw it. And in thine house and thy kingdom, talking about David now. This is David's reward for serving Saul, being attempted to kill 23 times, but being faithful. He had a chance to kill Saul and he wouldn't do it. Then he killed the man who killed Saul because he said, you don't touch God's anointed in the number 2 position. But now he's getting ready to be, he's number 1. He's king now. His king, David is so good, God says, and thine house and thy kingdom shall be established forever before thee, and thy throne will be established forever. How you going to know it? Because there's a young man who was born of a virgin in Nazareth, and a young man, and a young man who one day walked up on the water, and the same man was crucified on your behalf and became king over Israel forever because he's a descendant of David. Look at God. Your children are going to rest on something you did yesterday, and God going to look back one day, and they're going to say, if it had not been for Dave, our great-great-great-great-grandfather, we wouldn't be standing on this mountain building this temple right now. But God blessed us because of what you did and your faithfulness when you were faithful. I'm getting ready to quit. The reward for David's faithfulness in the number 2 position was that God built a house for the throne of David and established it forever. Give you one more and then I'm out of here. Genesis chapter 12, go back to where we started. Abram, his name is not Abraham, it's Abram. And God said to Abram, get thee out of thy country, from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, into a land that I will show thee. And I will make a great nation of thee, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. Talk to yourself right now and say, God going to take my name and make it great everywhere I go, and then I'm going to be a blessing to people. In order for me to blessing to people, God done already blessed me with everything I need over and above anything I could have hoped for. So whatever God gives me from this point forward, I can give it away because I already got more than I need. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curses thee. And in thy name shall all the families of the earth be blessed. When God calls you, equips you, and positions you in the place you're supposed to be, and you faithfully and obedient follow it and go where God tells you to go, beware the people who talk about you behind your back, because God got something waiting on them, because you never understand why everything they do go bad, but you keep getting blessed every time you turn around, because God said, I'm going to bless them that bless you. But I curse them that mess with you. I curse them that calls your name out. I curse them that treat you bad when they should be treating you good, because I positioned you to be where I want you to be, to make a difference in the world. Just do what I charge you to do. Leave the rest of it up to me. Don't worry about what them people saying. Don't worry about what they think you are and what they think you are doing. Keep going on your knees, calling my name, doing what I tell you to do, and saying where I tell you to stay. Watch me bless everything around you. Lord have mercy. I've been young and I'm old, but I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging for bread. See, a lot of things I do on behalf of the name of God ain't for me. I'm praying God will remember them little young ones I got out there. I want God to bless my babies. I used to get on my wife all the time for calling her children, but I said, I'm children 40 years old. She said, they still my babies. I realized that's what God sees when he look at me. I'm still his baby. I'm a 75-year-old baby. Looking at God. What was Abraham's reward for being faithful in number 2 position when he got repositioned from his country, from his daddy's house, to a place God was going to show him? What was his reward? Genesis chapter 15, verses 5 and 6. Here you come. You feeling all right? We're going to get out of here in a minute. You hot? Okay. Okay. And he brought him forth abroad. He is God. Well, I love my Bible students. He is God. Him is who? Abraham. Abraham. And he brought him forth abroad and said, ooh, Lord, I get that. Ooh, Jesus. Y'all read. I can't read that. I can't read that. Somebody read that for me. Look what? Look now. Toward, come on. That means count them.
If thou be able to number them, and he said unto him, so shall thy seed be.
In other words, if you can count the stars, you can count the number of people that's going to come from you. If you can count the stars, you can count the number of blessings I got your name on. If you can count the stars, you can count everything I'm going to do on your behalf when you do what I tell you to do in the place I tell you to do. And it don't matter what you look like, where you come from. I don't care what your family did. I don't care if you're in the poorest side of town, in the smallest town in the world. If I get ready to elevate you, every part of town going to look like you. Whoa! Whoa! Jesus. And he, who is he? That was God. This time it's he. He is Abram. And he believed, count it. And what happened? In other words, If you believe in him, he'll make you so righteous until the devil will scan you as you run. When he look at you, he had to cover his eyes because he can't stand the glory of the Lord that is shining and coming forth from you. When you are believing and you trust in God, when you go to God and say, you said it, I believe it, that is the end of it. I don't care what the preacher said. I don't care what the folk in town said. I don't care what my mom and daddy said. I don't care what nobody said. If the Bible said it, I believe it, I stand on it, and I count it. And God said, if you do, I count it for righteousness unto you. And I'm going to bless you so good that when the enemy see you, he's going to do everything he can to destroy you. But I got news for the devil. I wish I could get somebody to turn to Luke chapter 22 and verse 32. I wish I saw somebody could find Luke chapter 22 and verse 32. And then I'm going home because I'm tired. Woo! And in Luke chapter 20, see, the devil he didn't want you when you was out there doing your dirt because you was doing it for him. But when you decided to be a follower of God and accept the position that God was taking you to, when you decided that I am going to walk after God, and no matter what it costs me or no matter where I come from, I'm going to believe what this book has said. And because I'm doing that, go to 31. I'm sorry. Go to 31. Go to 30. Just back up one verse. Back up one verse. That's all. I didn't want to get 32 that quick. Here we go. And the Lord said unto James, oh, he said Simon, didn't he? See, you got to God allows you to put your name in the Bible and somebody else's name. Okay? That's called religious privilege. Okay? And the Lord said unto Simon, Simon, behold, Satan has desired to have you that he may sift you as wheat. Now, the next time all hell breaks loose in your life and you can't figure out what's going wrong because you ain't did nothing wrong, you understand this. He said, Jesus, can I sift your lane for a little while? Jesus, I see Teresa over there, and I need to shake some stuff up in her life. Right now, it's just too easy over there for her. I need to get up in their household. I need to mess with some folk who ain't where they are. He said that he may sift you. But every time you see but in the Bible, God getting ready to shift something, reposition something, and change the atmosphere on some situation. I have prayed for thee that thy faith fail not. Now, how I know it ain't going to fail? How I know you just blowing smoke up, man, you just blowing wind in the air. How I know it ain't going to fail? He said, I have prayed for thee. And he didn't say, if thou art converted. He didn't say, you might get converted. He said, when? That means it's going to happen. That means Satan can try all he want to do. I have prayed for you, and you will not be overtaken. This trial you're going through will not kill you. This situation you got ain't going to last long. This problem they keep throwing at you is just a little thing. I'm going to fix it in a minute. You just stand there and be still. I got this. I'm handling some bigger problems for you right now. I have prayed for you, and when you get this thing done, I need you to go strengthen your brethren. You need to tell somebody what God did. You need to share the goodness of what God did. Somebody's struggling out there and they don't know what to do. You need to tell them what God did. I was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. But God saw me. The favorite part, my grandmother used to sing this song. I was sinking deep in sand, far from the peaceful shore, very deeply stained within, sinking to rise no more. But the master of the sea heard my despairing cry, and from the waters he lifted me. Now safe am I, because love, whoa, love lifted me. You didn't have nothing to do with it. Don't pat your back and talk about what you did for me. Love lifted me. When you thought I was down and out and wasn't nobody going to come help me, love lifted me. And every time the devil said, I got that joker by the neck, I'm going to put my foot on his neck and hold him down. Love reached down and grabs his foot and took foot off my boy. Love. When God repositions you, the number one thing he does is drops you in love. Go tell somebody. He loves me. Say it. You ought to say it like you mean. He loves me. My watch, see that my watch just like the devil. My watch just told me it looks like you've taken a fall. That's it right there. And I respond, I did. I stepped knee deep in the Word of God. Got lifted and put someplace where I couldn't be found. I hung my hinges upon thou shalt not die. I hung my hinges upon I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. I hung my hinges upon the word that God said, thou art my Whoa! Lord, have mercy. Okay, let me tell you this, then I'm going to be done. Don't let your dreams die in the valley because God is repositioning you. Yea, though I walk through the valley, don't let your dreams die in the valley because God's taking you through the valley. You got to understand that this season of testing and refining that you are in right now, when God is positioning you, don't lean back and run from it. You jump into it with everything you got up to your neck and say, I'm in it for the win. I'm in it to last. I'm in it until it's done. I'm not leaving this thing. When God says, trust the loving hand of me, God will refuse to let you settle for anything less than what he's called you to do. Adultery, wrong as it is, would not stop God from elevating you to eternity. I'm not telling you to go out and do it because it's wrong as hell to do it. But don't give up on God and on yourself because you made a mistake. David was established forever. And don't let fear and uncertainty stop you from where God is taking you. It's just as easy for Abraham to say, you got to tell me where I'm going. I ain't going nowhere I don't know. I don't know how much gas I got in my car. How long this trip going to take? But Abraham got to stepping when God said, get out. You trust God. Joshua didn't ask for a thing. But God saw something in him that was worthy of being a leader for his people. When God is repositioning you, be faithful to God.